Okay, hello there, I'm Dennis. Welcome to my channel. Today's video, we're going to go through installing OpenBSD. We'll come back to the web page there. I have OpenBSD set up in my VirtualBox. I've given it 8 gigabytes of RAM, 2 cores of my processor. I did not enable the EFI. Video memory is turned all the way up, and we're going to use the stock graphics controller. I give it 65 gig hard drive. Let's get started here. All right, so I'm going to Control C to get into that mode, scaled mode, so we can see it a little better. And we should come up to this first prompt right here, and there it is. So right away we're asked to install it. Slide that a little more so it's not quite. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a capital I and hit enter. Choose the keyboard. It defaults to US, but I'm going to put in US anyway. Set a host name. So OpenBSD VM. Okay, that's our host name. Configure networks. The network it's picking up is EM0, and that's selected by default. So I'm going to hit enter. It wants to know, do I want to use DHCP, and it is selected by default inside the square bracket. Hit enter. Now it should be picking up the internet. Do I want to do IPv6? I'm going to say nope, although it defaulted to none. Which network interface do you wish to configure? I just did, so I'm done. Now I need a domain name, and it's going to select my.domain by default, and that's perfectly fine, especially in a VM. Now, if you're setting this up on hardware, this would be one option that you would probably want to make your own domain name. All right, password for the root account says it will not echo, meaning you won't see it, but neither will I. Start SSHD service by default, and the default is yes. Do I expect to run the X Windows system? Defaults to yes, and that is correct. Do you want the X Windows system to be started by xenodm? And I'm going to say no. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, using that to start into your system, if that's what you want. In this case, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to install use whatever desktop manager I select. So set up a user. If you do, enter a lowercase login name. So that's going to be my name, Dennis. Hit enter. Now it's asking me for my full name, and I'll just give it a capital D and hit enter. Now I need a password for the user. Repeat it. Allow root SSH login. Default is no, but I'm going to say yes, and you probably would too. What time zone you're in? It's selected US Central for me, and that is correct. For a list, you can do the question mark, but I'm going to hit enter. If you do the question mark, you'll see a whole list of options, and you'll be asked of country, and then after you select the country, then the time zone. So we're good there. The available disk that it's going to use is WD0, and that's selected by default. I'm going to say OK. Now we are going to use the whole disk, and that's selected by default. Okay. Now, here, that's what it's wanting to do for us if we don't manually partition. And you do have that option. You could edit this layout. But for me, it's allocated 5.5 gigabytes of swap, and that's really the only thing that I would bother to change. But because we are in a VM, I'm going to say OK. By default, it's selected auto layout. I'm going to hit enter. All right, now the location of the sets are on CD0. Get over here and see where we're at. Hold this. The sets. We're going to select the CDO. Path name is default. Let me go to the web page real quick. Or, yeah, go to the internet. And I've got two options here for the installation guide. This one, the second one, is not quite it's not granular as the first one. So if you really want to know a bunch of details about it, I'll include this link in the description. Let's scroll down and see if we can find the groups here real quick. Here they are. And it also, not only here, but here it says that, find it real quick, about the sets, flash drives. Here they are. It says the complete OpenBSD installation is broken up into a number of file sets. New users are recommended to install all of them. Go back to the system here. And the location of the sets is on CD0, which is what it's calling my ISO. All right, path name is 16.9 AMD64. That is correct. Now you can see right here, they're all selected. Select sets by entering a set name, a file name, pattern, or all. Deselect by doing the sets by preparing the hyphen or the game or what have you. So I'm gonna type in all and hit enter, and I'm done. Now, the directory does not contain a SHA-256 signature for the checking my ISO, and I'm gonna say continue anyway. And the installation is now on the way. There will be some more questions before we get out of here, though. So we just went through this layout, the sets, set name, continued anyway, right, path name to exist. We did that. The next one prompt will be the time appears wrong, but in my case it's right, always has been. So if it's right for you, select yes. Go back over here. This is going to take a minute. So this is OpenBSD, and this is their website, www.openbsd.org. And there's a lot of information on here. You can get your download here, find the manual pages, man pages. I found this really nice right here. It says songs and artwork. When you click on artwork, you can see it says every 6 months around May the 1st. So this just recently came out. And November 1st, OpenBSD makes an official software release. To accompany this free software release on the internet, we make artwork and music. This artwork emblazons CDs and posters up until version 6.0, after which we stop producing product and only release software on the internet. Past releases are on t-shirts as well, so you can get your t-shirt if you find a pattern you really like. But if you you can click on it and save the image and probably use it for a desktop wallpaper. So pretty interesting. And like I said, I found this installation guide on the openbsd.org, and it's public and it's OpenBSD install. And it's really, really granular. It goes through every single step. What I did here basically was I omitted all the inside writing. Okay, so come back to the install, and then it's saying location of sets, and I'm going to select done. Time appears wrong, Sunday, May the 30th, and that is the right time, so I'm going to say yes. Relinking to create a unique kernel, so it's changing the kernel or adapting the kernel to fit to whatever system requirements that it thinks that we need. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna hit enter to reboot, but I'm gonna stay on the standby. I tried to go into a shell and just power off from there, but it wiped out my entire installation. But when you hit close there, you'll see the process here stop. So I'm gonna power off the machine, open up the virtual machine, and I'm gonna remove the ISO. Okay, now we're ready to start this again. And this time we should boot into a login prompt. Our installation of OpenBSD, the base installation, is complete. And once we get on here, I'm going to go ahead and apply any system patches or check to see if there's any system patches. And more than likely that will, when it finishes that, it'll prompt you to restart. You have to do it, restart. If it prompts you to restart. Again, you might ask me how I know that. All right, so I'm going to sign in with my username at first, give it my password, and that works. And I'm going to say, I'm going to sign in as root, give it my password. I'll clear the screen. First thing I'm going to do is run syspatch. Now, if there's any patches available, and I'm sure there are, it's going to download them, install them, and more than likely we'll have to reboot. And what that does is resets the kernel. Right now it's relinking to create this done. Reboot to load the new kernel. So we're going to reboot. So like I said, the base install is complete. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into the VirtualBox and I'm going to clone this base installation. And then we're going to install a couple desktops. Working desktops. Log in. Again, I'm going to log in as my user. Give it my password. And I'm going to sign in as root again. And I'm going to rerun syspatch just to see. Okay, there's nothing there. pkg underscore add space space hyphen lowercase u. That will update the system as far as all your software. Now, we hadn't installed anything, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and hopefully we'll see it went through them that quick, and there's no update. But if I had a bunch of software installed, it would go through each one of those pieces of software and update them all together. Or you can go pkg underscore add hyphen u and then a space and then list the program, and it'll check for updates just for that update. Bunch of things we can do right now, though. If you wanted to search for, I'm going to save that for the desktop. What I'm going to do now, though, is just power off, because the base installation of OpenBSD, shut down immediately, I say. Okay, so I'm going to clone this. Keep the disk name and the UUIDs. Full clone. Click clone. Alright, so now I'm going to rename these. First one will be XFCE4. Okay. This one, the one I just cloned, will be for GNOME. So now that I've cloned these, what I'm going to do is start another video, but I will take this, the base install, and combine it with the two desktops, XFCE and GNOME. You'll see the entire setup basically from the very beginning, the installation of OpenBSD and the installation of the working desktop. We've installed our base system. Now we're going to install the GNOME desktop. We're sitting over here at our login prompt after we've installed our base and rebooted and run syspatch. So now we're ready to install some programs. So I need to log in. I'm going to log in with my user. Give it my password. And I'm going to sign in as root. Give it my password. I'm going to Control L to clear the screen. pkg underscore add is how you install programs in OpenBSD. And so I'm going to need Nano. You may not, but I will. And so if you need it, include it right here. All right, GNOME, Nautilus, gnome-terminal, gnome-tweaks, -tweaks, Firefox for a web browser, and gnome-extras. Now, as you can guess, this is pretty much the full Monty. We're getting quite a bit of stuff here. If GNOME has it to offer with the extras and the tweaks, and we're pretty much going to get it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And if my spelling is all right, it should carry on. And you don't get the prompt asking you to yes or no finalize the installation. So right control gets me out of that screen. We're installing our desktop at this point. We'll be adding ourselves to the group. Now it says that OpenBSD says that when we created our user, we were automatically entered into the wheel group. We can check that by just going group and your username. If you want to see all the groups, they're located in Etsy group. When we enable some of this stuff up here, we're going to disable the xenodm, the desktop manager. We're going to enable Multicast, messagebus, the avahi daemon, and last of all, the GDM, the GNOME desktop manager. So let's start with Multicast. Multicast is IP routing protocols are used to distribute data, for example, audio, video, streaming, broadcast, to multiple recipients. Using Multicast, a source can send a single copy of data to a single multicast address, which is then distributed to an entire group of recipients. The message bus was next. That's a combination of common data model, a common command set, and a messaging infrastructure to allow different systems to communicate through a shared set of interfaces. Avahi, there's big articles on Avahi, is a free standards compliant implementation of zero-conf protocols, multicast DNS and DNS-SD. It is a system which facilitates service discovery on a local network. This means that you can plug your laptop or computer into a network and instantly be able to view other people who can chat with, find printers to print to, or find files to be shared. This kind of technology is already found in Apple, Mac OS X, branded Rendezvous, Bonjour, sometimes zero-conf, and is very convenient. All right, and you'll see we're gonna modify our doas.conf file. Go ahead and explain that. Talk about that a second. Well, if I can find it, here it is. The doas man page. Doas is a program to execute commands as another user, just like the switching to super user. The system administrator can configure it to get specific users to give specific users privileges to execute specific commands. It is free and open source under the ISC license and available in Unix and Unix-like operating systems. That came from the Wikipedia. There's 3 very good web links to articles on the doas. I'll put these in the description below. Go ahead and talk about this one step here. Right here, we're going to Etsy our doas.conf file, and we're going to type in permit, persist, keepenv, and our username. And what that does, we already have the wheel group, but permit allows the wheel group, let's see, persist. This, if you'd like users to be able to enter their password once, then not have to enter it for a while, use the persist option. Then the next one is keepenv. Let's see, keepenv. There it is. You can keep all your environmental variables. That's what that stands for. Keep environment or environment variables with keepenv, which is useful if you have your editor set something and don't want to change it when you become another user. Here is an example with my new user permit, and we're going to put our name right here. Sorry for the editing. So that explains what we're going to do and why we're doing those things. Then we're going to change, this changes the speed of how it reads to the hard drive somehow. And I don't pretend to understand it, I just know it's in the handbook. And you'll see datasize-curl equals, that's basically 1 gigabyte or 1024 megabytes. So when this gets through downloading, we got some stuff to do here. We'll go ahead and pause the video. And I'll be back when this gets through. And this is a lot. This is probably like 6 gigs plus. Okay, so it reached a point and it's asking me to make a choice. It says ambiguous. Choose dependency for simple scan. And my choices are 0, sane -backends 1032. Or if I select 1, that's sane backends 1032 p0 -snmp. Send mail to people. I'm going to select 0 and hit enter. Okay, I'll be back when this finishes. Okay, we're back. And that did take about 20 minutes or so probably, but mostly probably more than likely it was because of my internet speed. So we've got all that, and we got some instructions here about how to update your system fonts. Gives you some examples. I'm going to control L to clear the screen, and let's move on. So let's see just if I am in any groups. I'm in Dennis, and I'm also in the wheel. So the wiki's right. So usermad -G and the group name and the username. All right. And then I'll up arrow, bring that back. Change that operator to staff. And I will bring that back. And that'll be just being frivolous. I'm going to add myself to the games group. And if you're a gamer, you may want to select that as well. So now it's time to turn off and turn on some services. And OpenBSD does that through rcctl. And we're going to, first thing is disable gnome-dm, which we didn't enable that in the base install, but it's enabled. Trust me, you're going to want to disable it. Now I'm going to do rcctl. We're going to enable some services. First one will be Multicast, which we went over. We'll hit enter. Sure it's spelt right. Up arrow, bring that command back. And the next one will be messagebus. These are all critical. Up arrow that one back. Avahi _daemon. And the last one, but definitely not the least one, in this case, the GNOME desktop manager. Nice. Now we need to Etsy need to edit our Etsy doas.conf file. We need to add the following entries: permit, persist, keep environmental variables, and the username, your username. That's spelled right. Control O to write it out. Enter to confirm. Control X to get out of there. Control L clear the screen. Okay, so next we need to edit our login.conf file. Nano Etsy login.conf. Do that spelled right. Alright, and I'm going to page down all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to make this entry: gnome : and enter, tab to get me back over in line there. So we got : and datasize, DATASIZE -curl, CURL, equals 1024 MB, or megabytes, which is actually just 1 gigabyte. I'll enter, tab, : PC equals default, and : And we'll go in nano, so Control O to write it out, enter to confirm, Control X to get out of there, Control L to clear the screen. Right Control will get my mouse back, and that's it. We should be able to boot right into our GDM. Not trying to go rebot. Stopping the package daemons. Here's that little point of anxiety when you wonder if you got it all right. And I'm going to leave it in this scale mode until we get into a desktop. And it'll take a minute the first time. So I could either hit enter or just left click on my name, give it my password, and make sure that this right here is GNOME, not GNOME Classic, but GNOME. And by default, it should be there, but just it don't hurt to check it. When you're ready, hit enter. And we get a welcome screen. We're going to select English. You select your language. English US for the keyboard. We're going to turn the privacy off. I don't location, especially in a virtual box. And we're going to skip setting up any of those accounts, and we're going to start using OpenBSD. This is the tour that is provided by GNOME. Start the tour. It says open activities to launch apps. The activities view can also be used to switch windows to search. And if you know about GNOME, you know all of this stuff is not a lot to it. All right. Let me get out of scaled mode. Go to activities. Type in display. Hit enter for the resolution. For the resolution, I'm going to select, let's see, which one will I run across first? Right there, 16 by 9 will work. Have the opportunity to keep it. Say yep. Okay, there's GNOME desktop, and we got all kind of stuff. Watch this. 2 pages of it. Archive manager, book, builder, calculator, calendar, characters, dictionary, dev help, deconf editor, contacts, connections, clocks, even disk usage analyzer, document scanner, document viewer, documents evolution, extension, image viewer, help, Glade, fonts, web Firefox for our web browser, and files, system monitor, settings, screenshot, photos, music, maps, terminal, text editor, to do, the gnome-tweaks, usage, videos, XDVI, that's something to do with videos, web browser, and the weather. So let me go back up here. There's a terminal right there. I'm going to right click, say add to favorites. Now it's over here. And the first thing we should do really is sign in as root or super user, give it your password, and then run syspatch. Now, if there's any patches to the installed system, it'll show up right here and install them. Now, in order to update, pkg_add, and then you go down here and you give a hyphen and a lowercase u. And I'm not going to do that right now because it'll literally run through everything that's installed on the system, whether it's installed by GNOME or installed by you specifically. It'll go through every one of them and find out if there's an update. Now, if you have something, a single software, and you want to check for updates for any reason, you can run this same command, but then later, let's just say it was Audacity, and I don't have Audacity, so it's not going to be in here, but if you do that, then that will allow you to update just that one program. And we're definitely up to date. System is, and we don't really have anything that I've added. Let's see where it was system. We got GNOME system monitor as well as usage, which is a different animal. Resources, it says we're using 1.7 gigabytes, which is kind of high, but I think GNOME has always been known to be a little high. Here's what our processors are doing, our memory, performance, find out where most of your disk space is being used. So, this is GNOME. See, there is no games. I didn't install anything that had to do with games. I didn't see any just then. But you can bet you can install them. Sudo's not installed, so you will have to sign in as super user. But if I did want to add a program, add a software, it would be pkg_add. Let's see, does it have... Actually, let's go package_info hyphen capital Q, and then let's say ISLERIOT. Let's see if it returns. Okay, so it says it's available. So now I can say pkg_add and then add it in there. And there will be no yes or no prompt. It'll just install it, which I'm beginning to kind of like. And there it is. It'll be in here already. Let's find out. Under I'll write, it'll be at the top, but it's not. So there it is. And there we go. It's working. That's how you install a program or software. Now, if you wanted to uninstall it, say for instance, it'd be pkg_delete and whatever the name of the software is. They do have a graphical package manager, and it's called pkg_mgr, I do believe. Let's run the info on it and see what it. So it is available, and there is a link. I'll show you. I'll include it in the link that tells you all you need to know about I don't know about all you need to know about the graphical package manager, but it's definitely intuitive and specific. It tells you what the normal user will use it for, and it's a ton of stuff to use it for, as a matter of fact. Just like any other, I guess. Oops, forgot I was signed in as root again. That's going to do it for this video. That's GNOME desktop with all the extras, the tweaks, if you can think of it. I installed it. Of course, there's still a lot more that you can install to make it usable. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great one. Peace. Bye.